of the Catacombs Café, where we take a bite out of good books. I am your host, Liv Miles. I'm a paranormal romance author, and my completed Wolf Shifter romance trilogy is going to be available on March 3rd, 2026. God willing. You know how I am about deadlines, but that is neither here nor there. Today, I'm bringing to you 3 different stories that I really hope you like. I'm going to read the first chapter of each, and if you happen to be here, you can comment on them, listen to them, have a free drink in the catacombs. It'll be a good time. And at the end of the segment, if I have enough time, I will go ahead and share a final course with you, which is my thoughts on a BookTube subject, a literary topic, just a moment to share what's been on my mind lately about culture and art. I'm going to give people a moment to get here because we did start slightly early, and I'm going to go ahead and announce things. So, Discord, you first. Incidentally, if you would like to join my Discord, you will see a QR code at the top right, that way, top right of the screen, and you can go ahead and scan that. Additionally, any of the books that we read today will be listed in our specials, which you can see there, right there, dead center of the screen. Let's see, so we just took care of telling Discord. We're gonna take a moment and tell the Facebook. For some reason, social media just wasn't loading well on my computer today. I don't know what the deal is with that. All I want is for you to load. And it is being very recalcitrant. Please just load. Alright, so I guess just Facebook is just not gonna let us post today. Is that how it is? Is that what's going on? Well, maybe we'll just do it from here. Gotta be resourceful sometimes, you know? All these devices. La da da. La da 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 da. Switch accounts. In the meanwhile, we'll just get settled in. I hope you can hear me okay. Oh, hi computer. I hear you. Alright. Boom. Boom. There. iPad worked. Yeah. And now we shall tell X. Alright. Social media has been alerted to our presence. Always a pleasure. And now we will go to the very first story of the night, which will not be displayed on screen. However, if you like this story, we're going to read the very first one listed in our specials. It's on the top left. It's the one with the grayish, slate reddish cover, and it has the QR code right there. Oh, I just saw a message. Is that you? Stream Elements? Stream Elements, how dare you do that to me? Hey, Billy Bandit. I'm here, but maybe quiet for a while. Big work day already, but I'm listening. Awesome. Well, it is an honor and a privilege to have you here. Feel free to lurk. Lurkers are welcome. All right, so today for our specials, our first special would be Lime's Fable by Egao Chan. Egao Chan is a Xuan Huan Xian Xia and paranormal fantasy author. He has been writing Xuan Huan Xian Xia, paranormal, and other various genres of fantasy for years, and is especially interested in stories involving the paranormal. If you enjoy the first chapter of this book and would like to read more, by all means, that QR code right there, that's the one to scan and click on, or however you do it, whatever device you're on. Let us get started. Part 1. Crashing In. A beam of light pierced through the curtains and poked Damien in the face. Never a sound sleeper, this was just enough to knock him out of his dreams. What the? Damien grunted as he tried to block the blinding beam with his hand and worm his way out of bed. He thought he closed the curtains last night. for it was a night of full moon. Because of his half-lichen heritage, full moons would just stress him all out and cause him a great deal of anxiety. After recalling everything from last night, he was more certain he went to bed much earlier than usual and double-checked his curtains were shut properly. After years of practice, he stopped wolfing out on nights like these, yet he still could not shake off the distressing effects of the moon. From the tingling, burning sensation on his hand, he could tell that it was almost noon, which meant he had slept for around 15 to 16 hours. Thanks to the full moon, his body was still sore, and he could barely muster up the energy to crawl out of bed. Being shown upon directly by sunlight was quite a nuisance as well, due to the other half of his heritage, one of vampires. He had no idea how his parents met, nor did he have any idea on the circumstances that led to his birth. He was left on the doorsteps of a church nearby, where he was thus adopted by the old priest running it. It was a matter of luck that the old, timid priest had certain knowledge about the underworld and was willing to raise him without making his lineage a bigger or more complicated deal than it had to be. Maybe out of the same spirit, Damien decided to call himself a Lime, a clumsy wordplay of sorts. His stomach growled, his head hurt, and his ears rang. It was time to grab something to eat after that long slumber. He had to be in the best state soon, for he still needed to make his shift at a local dive bar tonight. As usual, there were a few messages from his coworkers and his manager showing on his phone. Another busboy asked him to cover his shift. The barista said she forgot her special wristband and asked if he had seen it. His manager told him to come in earlier today because the other busboy had to leave town because his aunt got sick for the 6th time this month. One could argue the mixed son of two Night Stalker races should be doing something with more grandeur than just a busboy and part-time janitor. But so far, intrigue and excitement in life had eluded him. After a while, he just stopped trying. At least in his job, he could score free drinks and snacks after each shift, even before he could legally consume alcohol, and that was enough. He once tried searching for his kin, but to no avail. It was as if the Night Stalker races all vanished in one night without leaving much of a trace. His journals, sketches of magical arrays, notes, and even grimoires left to him from his parents were scattered on the ground, and he almost tripped on them twice while he was getting dressed. This mess was his own doing, from when he made yet another research attempt of his lineage more than a week ago. It took more than 20 minutes before he was ready to leave early for lunch and then his shift. He checked his pockets before closing the door. He did not have his keys with him. Where could they... Damien scratched his head with a heavy frown after looking under his bed and all over his table. His stomach growled once again, and the soreness in his muscles seemed to have grown a little more. The ringing sound in his ears grew louder as well, which was a bit out of the ordinary. Even with many nights of full moons before, the ringing was almost the lighter of the symptoms and normally subsided after a short while and a good nap. An intuitive warning against change and danger, so said his notes and grimoire, yet it had been quite some time since he encountered any real danger. Just when he was checking the space under his bookshelf, a distant and faint voice of a young woman caught his attention, and with an absurdly fast speed, it closed in on his position. The girl was grunting, cursing, and yelling out words that he could not make out, as if she was fighting or struggling. "Fuck you! Fuck off!" These were the first audible words. Before Damien could find where the voice came from, his window went off its frames in a loud bang. Broken glass shards exploded in all directions. The thick, sunlight-blocking curtains were thrown into the air and flopped onto the ground. Boom! A human figure with a full head of burning red hair and a full-body black combat suit covered with gashes, tears, and bloodstains fell onto Damien's bed. The metal frames and springs creaked, whined and bent from the impact. The filling of the mattress burst out from all sides like puffy fireworks. What came with the red-headed figure were two foul and unsightly creatures. They took the rough shapes of large dogs, but each had 6 legs with long, bony claws, exposed tendons, and ribs. Damien caught a look at the face of one of these creatures, if one could even call it a face. What it had was a structure of moving pieces of rock, debris of wood, and long, winding worms with shiny, spiked, curved fangs held together by thick, slow-moving black goo. The same kind of goo was dripping all over his bed and his floor from the wounds on these creatures' bodies. "Ah, fuck you!" the red-headed figure roared in the same voice Damien heard earlier as she kicked one of these creatures between its middle legs, sending it through the air and into the wall. At the same time, the other creature took the opportunity and lunged at her, sinking its fangs in her right forearm. Before the creature could cause the girl any more harm, Damien already had his right hand on the back of its neck and his left hand on the bony, slime, and goo-covered lower back. His fingernails sprouted out and pierced through the pale, gray, rubbery skin of uneven thickness. With his fingers locked in on this creature's spine sockets, the creature struggled but was not able to move an inch. He did not know why he did it, as he never did anything like this before. Yet it was as if something deep within him whispered to him and moved his body without his conscious mind. Instinct, maybe. Longing for a non-boring life, perhaps. Pungent black goo and dark green slime splashed all over his mattress as Damien pulled the creature's body in two directions. It was the first time he exerted his full force in a violent manner on anything for a while. The creature was torn apart, but in an instant with a splash. The structures of rocks, wooden debris, and worms crumbled. The girl cursed once again, and with a swift swing of a curved dagger, the upper half of the creature was removed from her right arm, leaving only some severed fangs on her sleeve. Damien's eyes met with the girl's. She had these deep, bright green eyes, which, though seemingly very uncommon, paired quite well with her flame-like hair. The dirt and blood on her face did not hide her fair skin or the freckles, and the few locks of hair sticking to her face made his heartbeats speed up. Damien muttered, Are you okay?" Before he could finish, the other creature lunged from the corner of the room right at him. The worms crawling out of his face shot at Damien like chained and toothy harpoons. Sharp fangs from the worms pinched his chest, his left shoulder, and his right forearm, penetrating his skin and muscles. The next moment, numbness began spreading from the wounds to the rest of his body. Bang, bang, bang! The girl pulled out a handgun and opened fire on the creature. Her bullets tore open 3 giant holes on its body. These were definitely not ordinary bullets, as golden flames surged from the wounds and engulfed the creature from inside almost in the blink of an eye. If Damien did not shove the creature away, he would have been scorched by the flame as well. Are you okay?" Damien tried to ask once again, but his words started slurring and his muscles became uncontrollably relaxed and paralyzed. The red-haired girl shot up and caught him just in time before he would bang his head on the corner of the desk. "Damn it!" The girl laid Damien down and checked his pulse by the neck. "Gosh, why is your body temperature so low?" What happened?" Damien's eyesight was getting blurry and shaky as well. His mind grew cloudy, and he found himself needing to push harder in order to breathe. Their toxins become nastier with low body temperature. The girl took her head and pulled out a piece of folded yellow paper. "Here, I'll put this in your mouth. It'll be very hot, but bear with me. Got it? Don't spit." If it was not weird enough, after putting the piece of paper into Damien's mouth, the girl cut her middle finger, chanted some kind of spell, then dripped a drop of blood onto the paper. A moment passed. Damien watched, with slight panic, smoke coming out of his mouth. At the same time, an intense heat exploded from inside of him. The smoke backflowed into his lungs. His tongue was burning like it was being roasted on a campfire. He tried to cry for help, but his mouth and his tongue were both numb and powerless. For some reason, he felt no urge to cough or vomit, even when the smoke was filling him up. "Hang on, just for a few minutes." The girl took out another piece of folded yellow paper, lit it up with a lighter, and threw it in the air. An arc made of almost pure golden energy appeared in the thin air, behind which was the vision of a strange place. Smell of grass and wildflowers and the faint chirping of birds came through the arch. With everything before him, suspicion arose in Damien's mind. Was he dreaming? Was he still asleep and needed to wake up? That is the end of the first excerpt that we have. That was Lime's Lime's Fable by Igao Chan, and you can find the QR code to find this book online, which is available on Kindle Unlimited, right there under our specials. It's the one on the upper left. So if you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription and you want to read on, by all means, that's the QR code to scan. Hi, Billy. This is cool. I liked it too. I saw Ego-chan like the X post midway, but I didn't want to like break pace and read. I enjoyed that story. That was fun. It had a bit of it had a slower opening, which I don't mean in an insulting way. Like it had like a slow to build suspense, but then by the time the dogs started busting in and like causing a ruckus, then I felt myself get like more hooked into the story. There were occasional parts where I stumbled a bit because some of the wording sounded like it wasn't native English, but most of it was great. Really fun, a fun time. I enjoyed it, and I would read on. I noticed that you said you wrote you like writing paranormal stuff, but also was it Shinshia? I forget the names you used, but when I read the descriptions of what they were online, it reminded me a lot of like the wushu film genre with like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and like Chinese paranormal, mythology. That sounds fun. I really liked that genre growing up. Not anime, surprisingly, but like wushu films. So very nice. I enjoyed that very much. Oh yeah, did my drink thing not work, Billy? How come? I had a command to give people drinks, and I'm just not seeing it work, and that makes me upset. Yeah, what's up, man? Oh, okay, well, I got one. Liv Miles gets a goblet of eggnog that makes you howl. Well, why not Billy? Why can't Billy have one? Is he not allowed? Are you underage, Billy? Let's see. What if I do, like, at Billy Bandit? I'm just curious. I can't help it, guys. That's just how I roll. At Billy Bandit. Drink. Boom. Did it work? If not, we'll mess with that tonight. There's never an end. I did it in YouTube, that's why it didn't work. Oops. Okay, I see, I get it. Well, it didn't work for me either, and I just did it in Restream for you, so... Oh wait, or maybe I'm just being impatient. Oh! Shaken Not Stirred gets a goblet of blood that is suspiciously warm. You're welcome! Yay! I'm glad that worked. Alright. What is next on our list? Okay, so next up we have Hunger and Hollow, a paranormal romance adventure with vampires, krakens, and deep-sea danger by A.V. Wilcott. And I found this book because I did a swap with A.V. Wilcott on Story Origin for reader magnets. And if you enjoy the first few pages of this, I highly recommend that you scan the QR code in the upper right corner of our specials menu. It's right in the center of the screen. And you can go and pick up a free copy of the whole book for yourself. Now, this prequel wasn't divided into chapters, but it did have page breaks. So I'm going to read up until like the first page break or so. But I definitely enjoyed it. It was fun. Yeah. Allow me to pull it up real quick. Oh, that's right. I have this one, I think. Did I have this on my tablet? Oh, here. I have it on both. Cool. Next time, I should probably put all the books that I'm gonna read like into one EPUB, so I can just not shuffle between things. Come back. All right. The foreword is short, so I'll go ahead and read that. This isn't a love story. Not yet. This is the moment a monster starts to remember he has something left to lose. Sebastian Moreau doesn't spare lives. He doesn't make mistakes. But when a defiant human woman survives the impossible and catches his attention in the worst way, he doesn't kill her. He claims her. Hunger and Hollow is a prequel glimpse into the Fangs and Fathoms series, where science meets myth and fate bites first. Now, a quick heads up. You've picked up a book that is the prequel short story in the Fangs and Fathoms Adventures series. There will be vampires, moments of suspense, violence, banter, and obsession. Hunger and Hollow is a complete story that can stand alone, but might leave you wanting more. In the Fangs and Fathoms Adventure series, you can expect low-spice, slow-burn monster romance, high-stakes adventure, and lyrical prose, all set in a world where the ocean watches, waits, and remembers. Hunger and Hollow. The Nocturne slipped through the ocean's obsidian depths, a blade of midnight cutting water that parted without protest. No wake, no sound, as if the sea itself had granted passage to one of its own. A vessel born of shadows, pressure, and magic, running silent beneath the surface while the sun raged above. Equal parts super yacht and submarine, it hunted even in the darkest currents, where no light dared linger. She left only absence in her wake, and death when called for. A predator, patient and hungry. Far below the waves, the ship's viewing corridor curved in elegant glass, revealing nothing but black water and drifting plankton. Along the walls, gleaming black rails and brass fittings caught of the glow of internal lighting, polished to a predatory gleam even in shadow. Past them, the ship extended into pressurized chambers and velvet-lined dens, every inch tailored for creatures with a rather terminal sensitivity to sunlight. A ship of vampires chasing an eternal night. Sebastian Moreau paced the viewing deck, his boots making no sound against the immaculate flooring. His reflection ghosted across the glass, haloed by control lights and the faint shimmer of algae blooms. The filtered air stirred his dark hair, but the lines of his midnight coat remained flawless, stitched to match the lethal grace of his frame. His pale eyes studied the darkness ahead, their silver depths reflecting centuries of hunts like this one. The fangs helped. So did the attitude. Sebastian waited at the observation rail, fingers brushing the cool metal. Somewhere in the distance, beyond sonar range, Caspian's tech had flagged the pirates' last known location. Even if they were topside, there would be no visible lights at this distance. Not even for vampire eyes. Just data. A narrowing lead. These weren't the slumbering smugglers of the past. The new breed moved faster, leaner. Still mundane for now, but skating too close to magic for comfort. The crew worked in quiet coordination behind him, each member performing their task without direction. They knew the drill. The hunt, the feed, the cleanup. One woman secured a coil of fiber line with movements far too fluid to be anything human. A man with scarred hands inspected the edge of a blade that shimmered like it had opinions. Every action served a purpose. No wasted motion, no sound. Predators shaped by time, hunger, and a dwindling store of frozen blood. Deeper in the ship, the click of metal on metal echoed through the corridors. Draining tools being arranged, elegant clinical instruments meant for extraction and storage, glass tapped against trays in a rhythm almost musical, a prelude in minor key. Sebastian, a voice behind him, one of the newer crew. 20 minutes to intercept at their last recorded position. Sebastian didn't look away from the dark ahead. Tell Caspian to cut our electrical signature. Full silence. These pirates have slipped away from us twice already. The crewmen vanished, leaving nothing behind, not even a shift in the air. Sebastian's fingers curled, the only outward sign of anticipation. Pirates screamed differently than soldiers. Guilt changed the pitch. He had fed in trenches, on thrones, in the dark corners of empire and collapse, on kings and orphans, on those who begged and those who believed they were owed. But pirates had a specific flavor. Their blood boiled with awareness. They knew what they had done. That knowledge salted the fear. He closed his eyes. Feeding had become curation. He could list victims by vintage, by the sharpness of their panic. Somewhere along the line, survival had turned academic. In his mind, the pirate vessel grew larger, deck lights blazing in celebration, voices slurred with alcohol, weapons slung low and loaded, full bellies, empty in sight. Sebastian could almost taste the gunpowder and sweat, but something inside him remained still. He rolled his shoulders, a reflex left over from a life that no longer mattered. Like breath. He still drew air he didn't need. He tasted salt, not for survival, for memory. Around him, the crew prepared, Weapons strapped, comm systems verified, holding cells armed and chilled. Hunger gleamed in their eyes, a faint red shimmer visible only to their kind. Sebastian felt none of it. The thirst would be satisfied. The hollowness would stay. After so many years, even fear had grown predictable. Blood, routine. He turned from the glass and strode toward the command center. The nocturne vibrated beneath his feet, a pulse too subtle for human senses. The ship knew him, knew the weight he carried. "Ready boarding equipment," he said, his voice low but unmistakable. "Minimal damage. We go topside at dusk." One of the officers spoke from behind a console. "Captain Evangeline ordered us to burn the vessel once we refill the larder and holding pens." Sebastian shrugged. What were they, if not violence wrapped in velvet and stitched into flesh? He moved down the corridor, his coat flaring slightly with his steps. No breeze here, just motion, just intent. Above, somewhere beyond miles of pressure and sea, a pirate vessel waited. Its lights flickered faintly in the scans. He ducked into the command center. Time to see what Caspian had found. Line break. The command center was filled with cold blue light, its glow stitched into every polished metal surface like a pulse. Screens covered the walls, flickering with sonar grids, thermal smears, tide drift, and the slow red crawl of their target sliding across a digital sea. Machinery murmured beneath the floor, far too advanced for its time, powered by a cocktail of vampire obsession, stolen science, and magic that hadn't asked permission. Caspian leaned against the main console, draped in a posture that spoke fluent disregard. One hand traced signal trails across the interface. The other flipped a capped blood vial between his fingers, over, under, across his knuckles, like a glinting ruby metronome. "Look at them cluster," he said, tapping the screen where faint heat blooms marked gathered bodies, all huddled together like a buffet with legs. His eyes caught the monitor glow and held it. Too bright for the dim room, too sharp for someone so recently dead. Feeding, for Sebastian, was maintenance. For Caspian, it was sport. His body still remembered how to crave. Desire hadn't worn thin yet. "They've got a cargo hold full of high-end tech," he went on, dragging in another file from a hacked shipping manifest, plus a side gig trafficking humans. His grin tilted into something feral. "Pre-seasoned and terrified. Honestly considerate." The monitors painted his face an electric blue, cheekbones still smug with youth. He wore a black jacket that fit like sin and a vintage band tee that had died of cultural relevance around the same time he did. A pair of headphones hung at his collar like a trophy or threat. Modern aesthetics, ancient hunger. "Intercept in 15, one of the crew said, fingers gliding across the console like she was tuning an instrument made of blood and wires. Data pulsed across the central screen. Speed, depth, light diffusion, all optimal, except for the inconvenient detail of daytime scorching the surface. The Nocturne didn't feed. She feasted, but only after dusk. Caspian leaned in and zoomed in on the thermal overlay. 27 bodies, mostly top deck. Looks like a party. He smirked, tracking the dense cluster of signals. Hope they're drunk. The blood's sweeter, less chew. Then one of the heat signatures winked out. The room stilled. Another flickered, faded. Caspian's fingers stilled on the console. The blood vial, once flipping in a steady rhythm, hovered between two knuckles. That's not a glitch in the readings, he said slowly. That's someone beating me to the buffet table. Are the pirates killing each other? Sebastian asked. Caspian swiped a control panel, widening the scan. The shape on screen fractured, no longer one dense mass, but two hulls nearly flushed together. One radiated erratic movement, the other hemorrhaged heat signatures. His voice dropped, dry and precise. No, that's a party, but not the kind I thought. The pirates are boarding another vessel. More flares of body heat rose and vanished. Confirmed hostile raid, another crew member said. They're mid-attack, losing crew fast. Caspian exhaled through his teeth. Too close to distinguish. They overlapped on thermal like one big, stupid target. "And we can't surface," someone muttered. "Not unless we feel like broiling," Caspian said. "Sunlight's got teeth today." No one laughed. The silence stretched, broken only by the soft electronic pulse of another warm dot flickering out. Caspian's expression shifted. Not pity, not fear, just calculation. He glanced at Sebastian. "Captain Evangeline's not gonna like this." As if in response to her name, the air compressed slightly as Evangeline Marceau stepped into the command center without a sound, her form spilling from shadow like ink meeting water. Her black hair cascaded over her shoulders in glossy waves. Her posture was impossibly straight. Her amber gaze swept the room like a scalpel. Sebastian remained in place, as if he had sensed Evangeline's approach before the others and was not caught off guard. Caspian stood a little straighter. The blood vial vanished into his jacket. "Captain," he said, his usual flair clipped and formal. Evangeline approached the center console, each movement smooth enough to unsettle the undead. Her fingertips rested on the polished surface, pristine despite the smudge-happy metal. She didn't speak for a moment as she watched the data. "Status," she said, calm and sharp enough to cut. "Intercept in 14 minutes, Caspian replied. "Thermals show 27 life signatures. They're armed, mostly top deck, clustered and distracted. Looks like the one ship in the data at first, but they're mid-raid. The pirate vessel pulled alongside the civilian freighter, close enough to blur." He tapped 2 points on the screen. The now obvious outline of the second ship emerged like a bruise beneath the data. "They're not waiting. They're fast." Evangeline studied the scans. Another heat signature vanished. "And we can't surface," she said. "No, Captain," Caspian confirmed. "Sunlight's still hostile. Unless we feel like flambeing the whole crew, they'll be long gone before we get a fang in." Sebastian's voice came from behind her. "We'll catch them at nightfall." Evangeline didn't turn. "You said that last time." "They're faster, yes," he replied, stepping closer, "but they're still mortal. We're closing in." She tapped a command into the console with more force than necessary. "Not fast enough." The screen flickered. Data shifted. Her hand stilled. We're already searching for your SPF 5000, he said. "For now, we remain patient. We're immortal. They stand no chance." She turned then, her amber gaze still sharp. "Tell me that again when we're not hiding from a star." Silence coiled between them, thick with old arguments and unspoken consequences. Sebastian's eyes remained steady. "We're close to them, Evangeline. One more sunset. That's all." "Keep the crew prepared for boarding," she said. "We'll board whatever is left topside at dusk. Take what you need, kill the rest. Store the excess in Containment 6. No one questioned the tone. It wasn't cruelty. It was procedure. "We have room in the cells," she added, pulling up the storage schematic. "Bring 1 or 2 in fresh if they're intact, but we have the hull cleaned before dawn. Blood leaves a scent." The last word landed heavily. The crew exchanged glances. Blood didn't just call sharks, it called worse. Slayers, hunters, those who didn't believe in mercy or mythology. "What about cargo?" someone asked. "Strip what's useful. Burn the rest with the ship." She turned toward a glowing projection at the far end of the screen. The red dot of the pirate vessel began to retreat on the screen, pulling away from the wreck. Faster than expected. Cleaner than expected. They were already leaving, and the sun hadn't even set. "Captain," Caspian asked, "should we adjust our approach? Follow them underwater for a while?" Evangeline's attention snapped back like a door shutting. "No," she said. "I want to see what they were after. It's almost like they're following something." Her gaze swept the crew, cool and exacting. "Where there's blood, there's power. We don't need to guess what they're chasing. We'll find it soon enough." A strange vibration rippled through the floor, subtle enough to escape human notice, but impossible for vampires to miss. The hum traveled up through the soles of Sebastian's shoes and into his bones, resonating at a frequency that felt almost familiar. It wasn't mechanical. Not part of the Nocturne's engines. It felt older. Alive. Sebastian's eyes met Evangeline's across the room. She had felt it, too. A silent acknowledgement passed between them before her gaze shuddered again, smooth and impenetrable. The nocturne had been humming like this for days, a low thrum that pulsed through the hall at irregular intervals, sometimes as faint as a whisper, sometimes strong enough to stir the blood in its vials. No one spoke of it, not out of confusion, but due to tradition. To name a thing was to invite it closer. A young crew member adjusted a panel on the wall. His hands moved with precision, but his posture betrayed unease. "Sonar's picking up unusual readings in the deep," he said. "Could be interfering with the systems." "It's not interference," Evangeline replied. "It's magic." The word hung in the air like a thrown gauntlet. Magic. Not the tame kind used for binding contracts or cloaking runes, but the ancient, bone-deep kind, the kind that whispered of gods and consequences. Evangeline had been chasing it for years, hunting some rumored artifact that could allow vampires to walk in daylight. The idea unsettled most of them. Vampires were creatures of the night by design, not defect. Power like that didn't come without a cost, and Evangeline had never been picky about the currency. Sebastian stayed loyal, but even he knew better than to call the sun an invitation. There were some doors you didn't open, no matter how beautifully carved the key. His gums ached. His fangs had lowered slightly, not with hunger, but instinctually. A primal reaction, not to blood, but to power, to the feeling of being watched. The ship vibrated again. A longer pulse this time. Then nothing. Silence spread out like the aftermath of lightning behind closed eyes. He rolled his shoulders, trying to shake off the sensation, still crawling across his skin. In his centuries of existence, he had learned to recognize the warning that came before something ancient stirred. The ocean held depths no sonar had mapped, secrets no myth had touched. And something in those depths had begun to wake. "Enough distractions," Evangeline said, her voice slicing clean through the tension. "Complete your preparations." The crew turned back to their stations, focus returning with practiced discipline. But the pressure in the air hadn't gone anywhere. It simply waited. Sebastian's attention turned to the low vibration still lingering beneath the hull. The Nocturne knew something they didn't. All ships old enough to earn a name developed that sense. Some called it superstition. Others called it instinct. But Sebastian couldn't shake the feeling they were not the strongest predator in these waters. His fangs receded slowly as he forced the instinct down. Whatever waited in the deep would have to wait. Caspian let out a long breath as Evangeline left the room. The vial reappeared in his hand and resumed its spin. "Well, honey," he said, smiling faintly. "Looks like dinner's going to be late." That is the end of this sample of the beginning of Hollows and Fangs, was it? Goodness, good job. I like to forget when I'm talking about midway. But I really liked that story. It was Hunger and Hollow, a paranormal romance adventure with vampires, krakens, and deep-sea danger by A.V. Wilcott. Pardon my memory lapse. And you can get this book and read it in its entirety by scanning the QR code listed right in our specials. It's the first one from the right. Oh, I like that a lot. That was fun. That reminded me of The Hunt for Red October, like by Tom Clancy. I haven't read that, but I've read bits of it, and I'm all about like submarine thrillers. That could be fun. And let's see what Shaken had to say. The writing is so vivid in this one. Agreed. Very nice writing. I really enjoyed the comparisons. Like, very nice language. There was a couple times where I wanted to stop and just kind of savor the sentences a bit. I can't because I didn't want to break rhythm, but there were parts where I was like, ooh, that's a good line. I like that. Like the key, like the carved key. Like, you don't open the door no matter how beautifully carved the key. That was a really good line. Best viewers and don't go away. So that was very well written. A bit too long for a chapter one. I thought it could end at multiple points before it did, but great word choices. I agree. There actually isn't this prequel. It's rather short altogether. Like, it's definitely fewer than 100 pages, but it's got line breaks and like little decorative swirls separating the chunks. I thought it probably could use some chapters too, just in case. I had to figure out exactly where I was gonna stop. There was a couple points where I thought it was going to close, and then it kept going. Like, I probably would have cut it right after, like, they're not the only predators in the deep. There's something more dangerous. Bam, cut it, done. Because that just left you on more of a resonating feeling of dread than the joke about being late for dinner. But that's just a personal taste thing. So I really liked it. I really liked the writing style. I liked how ominous it was. Yeah, there was a line break. It's kind of hard to mention that there's a line break, like when you're doing an audiobook. How do audiobooks do it? But I need to listen to more audiobooks. But yeah, I enjoyed that excerpt very much, and that's one of those that I would actually probably want to continue reading. I don't usually find books that I want to continue reading very often, so good job, A.V. Wilcott. Well done indeed. I think audiobooks would pause is all. Okay, good to know. I will make a note of that. Shaken, I shall do. And the last one we have tonight, it's me. It's my chapter 1 of my Wandering Wolves prequel, Luring the Court Magician. It leads right into my shifter romance trilogy, Wandering Wolves, The Wolves Beneath Paris. And all of which is going to be available on March 3rd. But if you would like to read this prequel early and you enjoy this first chapter, scan the QR code located under our Specials Tonight menu. And it's the one at the bottom right. And you can go ahead and read it as long as you're willing to review it. Because mommy needs reviews. Ain't that the truth? Now this one I actually happen to have on my iPad. Whee! Who would have thought? So let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. And before I start, the audio is okay, right? Nothing crazy, nothing needs to be adjusted. I should probably check in after like a paragraph with people just to like make sure that like nothing nuts has happened. Where is my library? I know I had it in here. There you are. Alright. So, Lured by the Court Magician, a Wandering Wolves prequel by Liv Miles. Chapter 1. They were watching her. They were all watching her. Every set of eyes in La Masseau Méfiant, a bar on the outskirts of Paris known for its lively nightlife, exotic cocktails, and interesting clientele, bored into Amira as she stepped onto the stage. They dissected her like a frog spread across the table of a middle school science classroom, eyeing her every detail. The tan skin of her bare legs shining below the hem of her white miniskirt, the glittering silver high heels propping up her hips with just enough lift to give her bottom a little pop. The clamor of clinking drinks and raucous laughter rose high over the roiling boil of drunken banter, but that was fine. She had a microphone and her lucky bracelet. That was all she needed. She set her ukulele case at her feet and drew a slow breath. Her heart raced as she took a seat on the overturned barrel in the center of the stage area, crossing her legs to accommodate her skirt. It's not that kind of show, she thought, smiling to herself, then at the cute, suspender-clad hipster melting into the corner, along with his pineapple-studded concoction. At least, not for just anybody. "How's everybody doing tonight?" Amira murmured into the mic. A long, sharp screech cut over her words, and the front row winced. Oh, God. Her hands lashed toward the microphone, her gold and turquoise-studded rings clacking against the black plastic. "Sorry," she said, reaching to twist a dial on her amplifier to silence that awful, pterodactyl scream of feedback. A low rumble of laughter rolled through an onlooker or two, easing the tension in her shoulders. Everything's fine, she reminded herself, but she didn't need to. This is a hipster bar, not an opera house. The chinks of glass on the walls glinted like the scales of creatures beneath a murky sea. Polished mirrors strung with a rainbow of metallic beads dotted the wall behind her, as if to frame her like a queen of a secret grotto. With all its wooden arches and hushed conversations, this place looked like the subterranean hovel where drinks happened to be served. But in the shadows, their hushed exchanges hinted at the true purpose of her whereabouts. She scanned the crowd to gauge how embarrassed she should feel, but no one appeared to notice her gaffe. Not one soul. Not even the woman several feet away from her, who had extended her naked wrist to a pale fellow seated at the other side of the table. When the man's teeth sank into his companion's wrist, Amira gasped. Do vampires do that here? Like, out in the open? She had seen the crest of the Angaranishi wolf pack on the sign, the one with the wolf, the bird, and the twining serpent, yet her bones still rattled at the sight of other paranormal folks in her midst. Vampires, werewolves, shifters, witches. Their presence shouldn't have surprised her, but it did. This was a haven for hoax with a glint of the preternatural in their eyes, and she'd better give them a performance worth howling at the moon about. A smile blossomed across her lips. She flipped her shoulder-length raven hair, hoping that her midnight blue eyes would captivate people long enough for her to figure out what the hell she was doing. It didn't hurt that her bare midriff halter top showed off the tan she had gotten strolling along the Champs-Élysées, accentuating her collarbones like a cinnamon swirl on a pumpkin pie. Whatever you've got, use it. Amira drew another deep breath from low in her core. The chatter of her anxiety quieted. The room fell away. It's showtime. This one goes out to someone I've never met. The soft tang of the ukulele whispered from her fingers, rhythmic but lonesome, like the crash of a distant rock breaking off into the sea. Conversations died down. The strings on her instrument vibrated with more and more intensity. She locked eyes with a handsome young man in the front row, his sandy blonde hair sweeping stylishly in front of his manicured brows. She gave him a wink, then sang, "Where are you wandering?" A few heads lifted from their baskets of fried calamari and sliced dragon fruit daiquiris, and like sailors awaiting the song of the first gull, they listened. She poured out each note like honey from the shards of a broken pitcher. Is it too much to believe you would be here? Is it too much that I might see you here tonight? Her fingers flowed from one chord to another, and she almost forgot about her empty ukulele case, the one she needed to stuff with cold hard cash over the next couple of days if she wanted to afford her rickety bed in the less-than-stellar hostel down the street. Instead, she let each note vibrate through her lips, throat, and bones until her heart lifted from her chest and flew somewhere else. She was no longer cooing notes into the wine-soaked fog of a hipster bar. She was escaping the shadows of self-doubt, disillusionment, rising up from the discouraging words of her family for wanting to pursue her dreams of becoming a famous musician, flying away into the sun, a star shining with its own light. The handsome blonde stared at her as if he had seen an angel, but beyond him, a shadow moved in the corner of the room, anchoring her attention to earth. A broad-shouldered man took a seat in the second row of tables, perhaps 20 feet from Amira, his tall frame obscuring the shimmer of the sea glass. She couldn't see his face, only the hard cut of his jaw slicing the light like a blade. He was larger than the blonde, a lot larger, with ropes of toned muscle bulging from beneath his shirt. His movements reminded her of a dragon awakening from its slumber, and now it was hungry. Her voice box tightened, pinching the note she sang ever so slightly. Damn it. Where are you wandering? But that was all right. Undeterred, the shadow of the man rose again and stepped in front of the blonde. He came forward into the glow of the lamplight until he was practically on the stage. Dusky 5 o'clock shadow coated his jaw like the shimmer of a wolf pelt. When he smiled, his amber eyes flashed a sulfuric blaze from the regal frame of his cheekbones. She tossed her hair and even dared to give a coquettish smile of her own. Well, who do we have here? A fire of excitement leapt into her belly when their gazes met, and she tried to mask her delight when he reached toward the pocket of his charcoal-colored jeans. Yes, yes, come on, baby, let's get paid. And a leather wallet emerged. Ka-ching! She lifted her shoulder and went into what she hoped was a charming, submissive pose, batting her eyelashes for good measure. Not that she needed to. Humans with a touch of vampire blood were known for their seductive ways, let's say. All she had to do was coo a few notes, and these men would be eating out of the palm of her hand. Even a man as smoking as this one. Somebody's ready for summer, she thought as she admired his abs through the brown t-shirt. The lamp threaded his dark mane with glimpses of red like embers crackling between the cracks of a log, and the rings on his fingers flashed as they opened his wallet. Be still, my heart. A giggle fluttered through her until he pulled a single euro from his pocket. Is that a 10? Her fingers strummed her ukulele with more intensity as the gentleman placed the note in her case. That's not a 10. Her eyes widened. 10s are green. The yellow paper landed, the number 100 blazing up at her like a golden ticket. Shut up. Her jaw dropped as she met the man's gaze, his coffee and cream irises glinting with mischief. A few onlookers chuckled, and one even whistled. To the man in front of her, however, none of them existed. His sights were on her, and her own on him, and of course, the 100 euro note at her feet. Thank you so much, Amira gushed between verses. He straightened, but did not retreat to his table in the shadows. He claimed his space, his broad stance immovable, protective, like a guard. A blush of heat burned her cheeks as she struggled to maintain the mournful melody with so much joy bubbling up within her. What could she do with 100 euros? Spend a night in a real hotel, for one thing. No more smelly hostel for her, with its worn-out floors and constant chatter of tourists bustling in and out. Or maybe she could put it toward her car payment. That was always hungry. Or her rent. Or her bills. His fingers dipped into his wallet again. No way, guy. Another yellow paper slipped from his fingers and landed in her case. 100 plus 100. Oh my God, she managed, unable to control the laugh rattling her throat. Her heart thudded as she forced herself to steady her playing. Focus on the song. But how could she? This was crazy. Excitement hummed through her fingers and electrified every strum of her hand, her mind roaring with the white noise of shock and adrenaline. She met the man's face again and shied away for real. From beneath his trim beard, a smile shone with the power and confidence of a lion. He knew what he was doing. He loved it. So did she. Before she could say anything, another 100 euros tumbled into her case, and another, fluttering like leaves, beautiful leaves of money. 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, over 1,000 big ones, right there. When she reached the end of the song, she finally stammered, "Would you like to make a request?" That grin. She wanted to melt into it. What was he thinking? Nothing I'm prepared to share here, he replied, his baritone voice tinged with all the mystery of a smoke-filled back room behind a shady nightclub. He turned from the stage, leaving her with the pile of money and the spice of his cologne. I'll see you outside. The blond man came into view again, but she couldn't even look at him. Hell, she could hardly even speak. You bet, she breathed, not knowing what else she could possibly say. The bolts on the door screeched as he pushed it aside, and just like that, he was out there, somewhere, waiting for her. That was the first chapter of the Wandering Wolves prequel, Luring the Court Magician, which is available I gotta point the right way, right there on our specials menu. And my baby woke up. I told you, I managed to do it. Hey, mister, we got through all the books. We got through them. We did. It's only fair that I warn you, though. Oh dear, maybe I should mute this for a sec. Sorry about that. Yep, that was mine, Billy. Now here's the thing. The book that I just read a chapter of, Luring the Court Magician by yours truly, Liv Miles, is not, strictly speaking, a romance story. It is in fact a cautionary tale, and it tells the story of the antagonist and perhaps one of his victims, and you'll see how well it works out for both of them in Wandering Wolves 1. But I would not go into it if you're looking for like a satisfying, sweet, wholesome romance where everything works out okay. Nope, it starts and ends on, well, you saw how it started. Power dynamics, greed getting the better of people, ambition, blinded. It was a good time to write, but it's certainly not like it's definitely not a sweet love story. Let me put it like that. One might say it's not a love story at all. But it is spicy. It is spicy. There's definitely on-page activities. And I would not read it aloud in front of your kids. Anyway, thank you, Billy. I appreciate you. So that concludes all the books that we were going to read today. There was something I wanted to do, which was I wanted to like give a final thought, like Jerry Springer, right? A final course, if you will. On like the state of literature and books. I don't really know how much I feel up to it right now, to be honest, because I don't know. Because I feel like I'm gonna get interrupted. How about that? But I don't know. I don't know, perhaps I'll save that for later. Hey, you got a femur of coffee that's suspiciously warm. I'm glad to hear it. One thing I was thinking about is like, should we do like a literary fine wine? Like just a short excerpt of some sort of classic paranormal work, like a short poem or a short story. I don't know. I was thinking about that, Billy. I was thinking that, like, what I could do is just to give a short rundown of like of my thoughts on a topic, then clip it from this live stream, edit it, and then post it. And you know what? I still could. I still have this running. Oh. So, okay, you know what? Fine. We're here. We got tea. We have lukewarm tea. Well, that should be a Catacombs drink option. Lukewarm tea. I'm going to talk to you a bit about something that's like been on my mind, which is how we can save books. Seriously, how can we save books? Hello world, and welcome to my channel where I share my writing journey, talk about books, and even, on occasion, shake things up. Today I want to talk to you about something that's been on my mind for a couple of years now, ever since the advent of ChatGPT and large language models, which have the power to write books with the click of a damn mouse or a touchpad or whatever you're using. And I have feelings about this. Feelings occasionally happen within my heart, and they certainly happened when artificial intelligence came to town. So I'm going to take a moment to talk about how I feel about this new technology. So before I dive in too much, I think I should probably tell you just why books mean so much to me and how I even became a writer in the first place, because believe it or not, it does kind of play into this directly. One of my earliest memories as a kid is being in the car seat of my mom's car, you know, probably like 2 or 3 years old, who knows. And I saw like the beautiful sunset outside, and I can still remember what the clouds look like and what the sun looks like, and like it even looked anthropomorphized in my head, like the clouds had faces, you could see the wind puffing out of their cheeks, you know, like a cartoon. And obviously that has to be like a you know, a misremembering, but I remember being so blown away by what I was seeing, and I just wanted my mom's attention to talk about how beautiful it was. But no matter what I said, because I was a toddler, so your vocabulary is limited, I couldn't make her understand just how beautiful I thought the clouds in the sky were. And like I was pointing to the sky, and she kept saying, "Oh yeah, it's nice, it's pretty," but I was just like, "No, but you don't get it. You don't get how beautiful it is." And that kind of really stuck with me, as like I didn't have the words to express myself as deeply as I wanted to. The most I could get was like, "Oh, nice sky," you know? And this happened later on in my life too, where, you know, not quite car seat age, at least not toddler car seat age, but when I was at a Chinese restaurant with my family and they gave me a bite of some food that was spicy, but I didn't, like, I couldn't, I took a bite and I was unable to remember the word spicy. So I kept saying, it's hot, and like fanning my mouth. But I didn't mean like temperature hot, I meant like spicy. And finally, both my mom and my dad in unison were like, it's very, very spicy. And I just remember thinking, yes, that's the word I wanted. I wanted spicy, damn it. And I don't know, I think these early instances, because I remember them so clearly, really set the stage for me to just have a lifelong love affair with words. And I collected them as early as I could write in notebooks, and I just really tried to learn every word I could come across. Like, some people get into storytelling first. I got into words first. Definitions, etymologies, histories, I loved them. And then I started playing this game in my head where I would try to rearrange a sentence as many times as I could. Like, how many different ways can you say this? How many different ways can you describe this? How many different words can you think of to describe this? What's the opposite of this? And this kind of just became like almost a compulsive game just running in my head. At that time, I hadn't written any stories at all, but it did lay the groundwork for me to kind of hit the ground running once I got to grade school and we started having assignments. And so, and I also did read a lot. I really loved reading. My parents were very big on exposing us to books. And one of my earliest memories, again, another early memory, right? If you've gotten the message, parents, please read books to your children. Have books in your house. But I used to sneak up at night and read the encyclopedia because we had that really big-ass encyclopedia set. The one with like the gold leaf on the pages. And it looked freaking magical to me. Like, there's something about like a leather-bound tome with those gold leaf pages that just, it was like, wow, now there's a book that you should be reading for some reason. So I would sneak up at night and hide under the piano and try to read the encyclopedia, and it was incredibly relaxing because it's just basically like, no matter what page you open it to, you can just open it and start reading and learn something, and it just became one of my favorite pastimes, along with reading the dictionary. Now, what does this have to do, you might ask, with AI and artificial intelligence taking over the world of books, and whether or not books will survive? Great question. Self. So, I think having early experiences with language and words, and having to go through that period of like, okay, how do I say exactly what I want to say? How do I express from within myself exactly what I'm trying to express? That's something that you have to go through great difficulty in order to learn. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of frustration. And it's definitely not easy, but it is worth it, because when you come out on the other side, you can articulate your thoughts, hopefully, properly. We'll see how well I do. But it's worth it. And if we have these magical devices called large language models, really a type of dark magic of their own, if you ask me, but they can just phrase your thoughts for you. We have a generation now that is not going to learn how to phrase their own thoughts because they can just go home and have it generate essays for them. I worry that people don't understand that the point of an essay is not the essay itself. It's the process of learning that you had to go through in order to have the end product that we call an essay. And I'm pretty sure Brett Weinstein mentioned that before as well, or maybe it was Jordan Peterson, I don't know, but that is the truth of it. There's no shortcut to developing your own thoughts and building those pathways within your own brain, and the only way to build those pathways is to actually challenge yourself and write pieces and build them. And I worry that with this magical technology, it gives us a Faustian bargain where, oh yeah, you can just have stuff written for you instantly. Hey, don't even write your book. Why bother? Just enter in a little prompt and have Gemini or Grok or Claude or whatever you like. Choose whichever one you want and just have it spit out a book for you. Is that really what we want as writers? And I am thankful to see that readers are pushing back against this, and that they don't want to read these books necessarily. Because there is something, you know, different about something that is handcrafted by a human and just automatically generated by a machine. Because even a shitty book that's written by a human, I think I would rather read that than read a beautiful book, if such a thing exists, written by an AI. And don't get me wrong, I do think that this invention has kind of created a rift in the writing community, because everyone kind of has to figure out where they draw the line for themselves. And if you don't draw the line in the exact same place, you could have authors blacklist you, you could have readers blacklist you, and it can be a frightening time to even talk about it, to even just play elegantly with an idea. But we have to be able to talk about it, and without fear of being immediately witch hunted and persecuted out of existence. On the whole, I think that AI has the potential to be useful to writers if you mean clearing away administrative tasks that really don't enrich your life. By now you've heard the old quote, I want AI to do dishes for me and do laundry so I can, you know, write books and create art, not create art and write books so that I can do dishes and laundry, or some variation of this quote, right? You've heard it by now. Well, yeah, I think writers should be able to do that. If you can find a way to make AI do the literary equivalent of shoveling crap out of your day so that way you can do more rewarding things, then yeah, go ahead and do it. Proofreading, fine. I don't have a problem with using AI to get typos out of your work, because there's no creative work there. You're not losing a soul just by having a computer scan a document and look for typos. Same thing even, I guess, with editing feedback. But the thing is if you want to use AI for an editor, one, I would never trust it as much as a human, because it can't feel. Like, it does, by definition, it cannot feel. And then also on top of that, you have to get comfortable feeding your work into an AI, which I don't know about you, but that causes me some serious misgivings. Hi, mister. Are you here to rant about the downfall of mankind? All right, cool. You didn't do it. I did it. Crash, thud, burn. What's wrong? Did that scare you? Did that scare you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. It was scary. Hold on. Oh my god. We're partying. I love it. It was fun. Hi. Hey, we're not upside down. Want to say hello? That was fun. All right. Once we get a grip on ourselves and our technology, perhaps literally, we'll be right back. Intermission. I need like an intermission screen. Can I set you down, or are you gonna cry? Because I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Maybe I'll just do this. I'll just I'm gripping you in my fist like I would the back of someone's head. It's deliberate. It's deliberate. Okay, I'm gonna settle this baby down, and then we're gonna try to remember. Oh, whoa, what was almost again? It almost happened again. Not today, you son of a bitch. In the meantime, enjoy the snow we're getting outside. I'm gonna set up my camera, hopefully again, and then I'll scoop him up again. You should see how completely, terribly rigged up I have this. It's like laughable. Much like my life. Honey. Really? Ilda! Baby. Alright, well, maybe we'll just save that rant for another time. I think we probably will. That might have to be where we cut it. I'm sorry. Alright. Alright. Alright, Illy, I hear you. Can I just close out real quick? Jeez. Jeezy crazy. Illy. Illy. Yeah, I know, dude. I'm sorry. Alright, one sec. Illy. Hi. I want to say hi. I love you. Alright, so anyway, obviously I'm gonna have to go. I would love to continue. Perhaps I will continue that rant anon. Yep. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for everybody who stopped by. Then, please just let me close out, mister. I love you. Just give me a moment. Give me a minute, okay? Say hello to the people. If you enjoyed this live stream for some reason, feel free to come back. Alright. 1 second. You can email me your stories at livmiles@gmail.com. Livmiles, Livmiles, like the unit of distance, at gmail.com. And of course, I highly recommend you join the Discord with the QR code over on that side there. And that is the best way to get in touch with me. I will see you guys next Tuesday at 12 p.m. And yeah. Oh no, now you're calm? Now he's calm. Now he's calm, right? Alright. I'll talk to you guys soon. Farewell. I'll live